when I started working with them, even during the proposal period, I'd kind of talk in a way that made them feel like I was already part of the business. I would say things like, all right, so the way I see us working together is this, and I think that we as a company should do X, Y, and Z. I think, I could help you here, which would let you do this, so that we as a company can reach this goal or whatever. And really tie it back to their goals and make them feel like I was already in it. Anytime I talk about the business with a client, I say we.
For anyone listening to this who might be new, can you help me define business manager?
In the virtual assistant industry, people think, business manager, and they think OBM, online business manager, which would be, good to think, except OBM is really like, it's more like an integrator role. You're trying to do both the day-to-day and the high level. And I'm really big on, anytime I'm talking to a virtual assistant who calls themselves an OBM, I'm like, you should not be calling yourself an OBM, because a business manager manages the business. You are not in the day-to-day stuff. You shouldn't be in there answering emails. You shouldn't be in there loading emails or loading blogs. Sure, you might jump in if something happens, team member's gone, and if there's something urgent, you might pop in and help because you can, but that's like a one-off occurrence. That's not like a day-to-day. A business manager really shouldn't be doing all that stuff. The reason is typically you don't have enough support to have somebody else like helping you with that day-to-day to be able to do both very well. And when you get started with a client, it'll be fine. But as you do help them grow, something's got to give. It'll either find yourself doing all the day-to-day stuff and not being able to get to the strategy piece, or vice versa. For me, a business manager is somebody who is not doing the implementation. So when I'm in somebody's business, I have them on a special meeting cadence where we do annual planning, quarterly planning, monthly planning. We're assessing the business. So we're taking time out to actually assess all the different areas of the business. I have an assessment that I run people through called the 6 Lens assessment, based on the 5 core functions of a business. And we assess the business and determine where the weakest spot is, and we like brainstorm projects around the weakest spot to help, shore up that weak side. I'll overview their budget. I'll help them create a budget if they don't have one. I will help with the team, running of the team if they do have subcontractors or employees. I'm the one that's helping the team. Like, I'm kind of usually the first point of contact.
Yeah, I hear a lot of OBMs who then do implementation, which is just wrong. And I mean, I've come in as a marketing manager and then very quickly learned the hard way about having the implementers to actually do the work, or you get sucked into that role very quickly. Okay, so Sandra, what has made you so successful? What is it about you that really elevated quickly from this general VA role?
I think like the main thing to me that helped me stand out was that when I am working with a client, before I even start working with the client, I immediately, like, my whole goal, like even when I was a virtual assistant, my whole goal was to take work off their plate. So helping them take work off their plate right from the beginning, which meant if I emailed them to get booked into a call, I never said, here's a link, book in, because that's me assigning them a task. What I would do is say, hi, we need to meet. I have XXX available. Or if you prefer, you use this link to book in. Let me know if any of those days work, or you can use this link. Give them the option. They'll take the one of least resistance for them. So small things like that. But then even on the discovery call, when I was talking to them, I was never trying to sell myself really. Like, it was more about, I would get in there, even as a virtual assistant, I'd be asking them, okay, so what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish? What are you working on in the next, year, 2 years? What's been your biggest struggle? If everything goes perfectly, if a fairy godmother came and just waved a wand, what does our relationship look like? What do you want to get out of working with me? Asking those higher level questions, rather than like right now when I meet with VAs, they're just like, so like, what tasks do you need done? It's like, don't talk about the tasks, like talk about the work. Like, you can talk about the tasks eventually, but you need to understand their business. So yeah, I really took an interest in their business. And then I would always try and give them like a good takeaway on a discovery call. Like I'd always try and help solve some sort of issue,
Okay.
if possible. And then I would always like, when I started working with them, even during the proposal period, I'd kind of talk in a way that made them feel like I was already part of the business. I would say things like, all right, so the way I see us working together is this, and I think that we as a company should do X, Y, and Z. I think, I could help you here, which would let you do this, so that we as a company can reach this goal or whatever, and really tie it back to their goals and make them feel like I was already in it. Anytime I talk about the business with a client, I say we. I think we should do this. I think,
Yeah.
I think this might be a good thing for us to look into. And it just makes them feel like supported, like they're not alone.
Mhm.
Even the decision to hire you is not, they don't have to make it on their own because you're helping them even with that.
Did you stumble on that, or was it something that came natural to you?
I think it just came natural to me. I
Hmm.
did it with everybody. I was just, yeah, I thought like, this is what I would want if I was
Yeah.
hiring somebody. I want somebody who wants to be in it?
Yeah.
So,
I see that as such the difference maker, and I see a lot of these who are there to do minimum, like clock in, clock out, collect a paycheck. So how do
yeah.
you stand out from that? It is being a part of the team, and I like love the word teammate, but that's where a lot of these clients, at least in my world, are struggling is they don't want to go to Fiverr, they want the loyal, dedicated teammate who really gets their business. So what you just said wrapped it all up in one
Hmm.
little word that demonstrates I'm not a one and done. This is not a one night stand. I'm here for you. And then you bring in that attitude that you and I both had about what else do you need help with?
Yeah. What else do you need help with? And that's the other thing that really helped me stand out was that I put it in my proposal. Like, I'm not somebody who's just going to sit back and wait for you to send me tasks. We're going to talk and I'm going to find out what you're working on and I'm going to suggest more work coming my way.
Can you be a little bossy with your clients? Like I get that vibe. Like you know what they need to do next, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can totally. I mean, like, you don't have to be bossy about it, but like, definitely, if you see something, say something. If you see an opportunity for them, say something about it. You can really stand out by helping your clients solve problems that they don't know how to solve, and just kind of be creative about it. It obviously, like, not everybody, it's not going to come natural to everybody, but like, the more you look for it and think about your client's business,
Mhm.
the easier it'll come.
Okay, so what do you wish you would have done different in your business journey as a VA?
In 2020, I happened to be at a conference. This person who has built and sold many, many multi-million dollar businesses was kind of doling out advice. And I ended up in this circle, and everybody was going through and asking a question. And so he had everybody explain their business a little bit and then ask their question. My business model that I was working on building was to train VAs on how to be great VAs, and then start like a little, because I was always getting people asking me for referrals. So I was going to start doing a little matchmaking service. And that's where what I really wanted to do, because like my passion is to teach VAs. But as I told him that model, he said, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't be doing that. You should build an agency, do X, Y, and Z. And he laid out this whole business model. It got in my head, and I thought, well, he knows what he's talking about because he's built and sold so many businesses. So he knows what he's talking about. And I let it get in my head, and I went down the path of trying to build an agency model in 2020. And it was the hardest year I've ever had because there were so many problems with doing it in 2020, especially. Um, and it was exhausting. I was like, at the end of 2020, I kind of went, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just kind of stepping back. I didn't bother hiring anybody to support me in any way because I was just like, I'm done. I'm done dealing with people. I'm done dealing with like hires. I wish that I had not taken his advice, because the one thing I always tell my clients is one opinion, one source of data, like one data point is not a trend. It's not a plan. It's just something to consider, and like you have to think about it and build on it.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't do that. So like I didn't take my own advice, and I just let his half like he didn't even know anything about my business, and I just let him just let it derail me
Yeah.
completely. So,
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you have a freebie for our audience about finding clients, which I get asked this all the time. I'm sure you do. Tell us what goodie you have for our listeners.
yeah, so it is the Epic VA's Guide to Finding and Signing Dream Clients. So it goes through, a lot of where to find clients, how to find clients, and then it also talks a lot about the discovery call process and gives you a lot of good tips on, what to do and what not to do during your discovery call, including camera placement and things like that. So completely free.
Completely free, which I think is amazing. Thank you. Thank you for giving us this because like I said, this is what holds people back, and if they could just see the amount of work there is, not be afraid to put their name in the hat, use this guide and go for it, you'll be in this situation where you have this business that lets you travel and go and pay for Iceland, right? I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you so much for sharing your story.